Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment. Pursuit. Pursuit. A criminal strikes and fades quickly back into the shadows of his own dark world. And then the man from Scotland Yard, the famous Inspector Peter Black, and the dangerous, relentless Pursuit. When man hunts man. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert. Adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious. Now, with John Dana, starred as the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, Wrigley's Spearmint Gum brings you tonight's story, Pursuit of the Man Who Couldn't Go Home.
How long has he been there, Mr. Babcock?
Over 4 hours, Inspector. Somebody down on the street saw him, and I turned in the alarm.
Anybody in the room now?
Only the chambermaid, sir. The man'll talk to her. He swears he'll jump if anyone else tries to get near him. Oh, it's a frightful thing for the hotel, Inspector. Frightful.
Have you been inside?
Oh, no, sir. The divisional inspector tried, sir, but the man nearly jumped.
All right. You better stay out here.
You're going in, Inspector?
Don't worry. I won't let him see me. It was 10 o'clock that night when I received the call at my flat. He was registered at the hotel under the name of Ralph Jarrick, and at a little past 6 o'clock had stepped through the window from his room out onto the ledge 7 stories above Oxford Street. When I arrived, the crowds were blocking traffic for 3 squares, their heads turned upward, and there was a terrible anticipation in every face. The beams of 3 searchlights converged to pin to the wall the figure of the man above. As I entered the room, I thought of those expectant faces in the street.
Aren't you tired, Mr. Jarrick? I know I'd be. You must be awfully brave to stay out there like that.
I'm very tired, Nora. I think I'll go now.
No, don't, please. You mustn't do that. It's wicked. Besides, I'd miss you. You like me, don't you?
I want another cigarette. Will you get me one?
Of course I will. You'll be a love and stay there now, won't you?
All right, but don't be long. I'm getting tired.
Of course you are. Come in. Nora will take care of you. Might even give you a kiss if you're good.
Get me a cigarette.
Half a tick. What are you doing in here? Do you want him to jump?
I'm Chief Inspector Black of Scotland Yard.
You think that's going to make any difference to him?
Can you get him to come in?
Oh, I've been trying for 3 hours. I don't think I can stand it much longer.
Well, we're trying to get a net down.
Oh, don't do it. If he sees it, he'll jump. I know he will.
Has he told you why?
Poor beggar must be balmy. Says he killed a man and he can't go home.
Oh? Did he mention a name?
No. Please give me a fag for him and get out of here. If he
Nora.
sees you... He's right outside the window. Don't move. Coming, Doc.
Who is that? You told me there was no one in the room. You lied to me.
I didn't, honest. I had to get a cigarette for you, didn't I? Well, this gentleman was kind enough to oblige.
I don't believe you. He's a policeman. I'm going to jump.
No! Oh, no, Mr. Jarrick, no!
Well, you're a nice one. Look what you've done. You made her cry. You ought to be ashamed. Why don't you come in and apologize?
You don't have to speak to me like that. I'm not mad. I know what I'm doing. Who are you?
I'm from Scotland Yard. The name's Black.
Black. Have you got a cigarette, Black?
Yes. What's this about killing a man?
Nothing to do with you. Bring me the cigarette. That's close enough. Stop now.
What was his name?
Doesn't make any difference. Light it for me.
All right. What now?
I'm going back along the ledge. Put the cigarette on the sill. I'll count 5. If you're at the window before I'm finished counting, I'll jump.
Very well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here it is.
I don't want it. My stomach hurts.
Well, come in and I'll get you a doctor.
It hurt. I want another glass of water. Give me another glass of water.
Yeah, give me your hand.
I can't.
Hey, hold on. I'm coming out.
I can't hold on. I can't.
His body was removed, and except for the name under which he had registered, there was absolutely no identification either upon his person or in his room. And so the next morning at Scotland Yard, the meticulous process of establishing identity got underway. And the answer came sooner than we'd expected. At 11 o'clock, Sergeant Moffat, who had been waiting for the report, came into my office. Well, Moffat?
I've got the report, sir.
Ah, good. Who was he?
Not Ralph Jarrick, sir.
Oh?
According to the fingerprints, he was Edward Tilton.
Criminal Records Office?
No, sir. War Office.
Oh? Yeah, let's have a look.
He's dead,
Ah.
sir.
Oh, really, Moffat?
No, sir. I mean, he's dead. He's been dead for 6 years.
Oh, he can't be. No, they must have made a mistake.
That's what I thought, sir. But it's the same man, killed in action July 1944. Destroyer in the Mediterranean. HMS Plover.
HMS Plover. Big blow. Yes, here it is. Body not recovered. Did you notice that, Moffat?
I know, sir. But I don't imagine many of them were. She was hit by 2 torpedoes. Magazine went up. Not much left.
Except Mr. Ralph Jarrick or Edward Tilton. Now, there can't be any doubt of it. Yeah, let me see. Survived by brother Richard Tilton, wife Amanda Tilton, and father Cedric Tilton.
Lizard Down, sir. Where is that?
Just south of Falmouth, Moffat, near the coast.
all right.
Lizard House?
Well, what about that killing, sir?
I mean the one this poor devil said he did? I don't know. There's something quite odd about it, Moffat. Lizard House. Rather grim-sounding place, Moffat. I think we better have a run down there.
Right, sir.
The name Lizard is given to a peninsula whose tip constitutes the southernmost point of England. Our destination, Lizard House on the Downs, was an extraordinarily hideous structure which seemed to fit quite naturally into its unattractive, fog-laden setting. And it seemed to Moffat and me, when we met them at first, that the Tiltons themselves had absorbed the dull unpleasantness of the place.
Father.
Who is at the front door, Richard?
The police, sir.
Police? Should have used the back door.
Awfully sorry, Mr. Tilton. I'll know better next time.
You're new here, you'll learn. What do you want? Constable?
Chief Inspector Black, sir, of Scotland Yard. This is Sergeant Moffat.
I'm not interested in who you are. What do you want?
Concerns your son.
Richard? Nonsense.
No, Edward, Mr. Tilton.
Edward?
I think there's been a mistake.
I'm afraid not. Your son died last night in London.
Oh, then you've got the wrong man. My brother was killed during the war.
So the War Office records stated. However, they were an error.
But we received an official wire. Oh, no, you're wrong. It's absolutely impossible.
Please understand that this is a most unpleasant duty. but I
Unpleasant, balderdash. The whole thing is poppycock. But were it not, you people revel in situations like this. You love it.
Father, that's unfair.
I refuse to entertain these blue-nosed plum-duffs in my house. I go to my room.
I'm sorry, Inspector. Sergeant.
All right, sir. We're used to it.
My father makes it a point to loathe authority.
Ah,
If what you tell us is true, and I can't really believe that it is, how did he die?
he fell from the 7th story of his hotel.
Suicide? Edward? Well, if this is true, I hope we can keep this from my wife, Amanda. She used to be married to Edward.
Oh, really, sir?
We waited for 3 years after the war. There was always the hope that...
Yes, I understand. Mr. Tilton, I wonder if you would be kind enough to accompany us back to London. We need positive identification, and I imagine that you'll want the body returned here.
I know you're wrong about all this. It's ridiculous. But I suppose you can force me to go with you.
Not at all, sir. We thought that you'd want to. Tomorrow morning will be satisfactory.
No, I'd rather go immediately. Again, Inspector, it's better if Amanda knows nothing about this. She's not at all well.
It'll only take a moment, sir.
It's all right, Inspector. I can look.
Do you identify this man as your brother, Edward Tilton?
Edward. Yes, it's Edward. Edward. Where has he been all these years? Why didn't he let us know? Why?
Come along, sir.
Why did he do it? What possible reason?
We're not sure, Mr. Tilton. He spoke of a killing.
You talked to him?
Yeah, for a minute or two, yes. I tried to stop him.
A killing?
Yes. We've assumed that such was his motive for deciding to take his own life.
He did kill a man 10 years ago.
Go on.
It was in Lizard. Edward fought with one of the villagers, an older man. They were in a tavern. Edward was drunk. Father came in and saw the whole thing. He testified in court that it was self-defense. The magistrate was a friend of Father's, and Edward got off scot-free.
And he was guilty?
He was drunk, and he beat the man to death.
Well, that clears up the killing, then.
Things were never the same between Amanda and him after that. He knew it, too. It must have preyed on his mind.
Inspector, I'll see you for a minute.
Yes, Marvin. Sit down, Mr. Tilton. I shan't be a second.
You were right, sir, about the way he died.
Poison?
A lot of it. Dr. Bishop is sending you a full report. But here's a strange thing, sir. According to the analysis, the poison would have killed him within an hour.
But he was on the ledge for 4 hours. Which means, Moffat, that poison was administered while he was out there. And following that, Edward Tilton was not a suicide. Edward Tilton was murdered.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. The lively, full-bodied, real mint flavor cools your mouth, moistens your throat, freshens your taste. And the chewing itself gives you a little lift, helps you keep going at your best. So for real chewing enjoyment that's refreshing and long-lasting, always keep Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. Healthful, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum will make every day more enjoyable.
Now, the second act of Pursuit of the Man Who Couldn't Go Home.
The pathologist's report was on my desk when Moffat and I returned to the office. As I read it, I could see once again the man on the ledge, beginning to double in pain. I could hear him asking for another glass of water. I remembered his desperate hand clutching for mine in an effort to save himself. No, he couldn't have done it, Moffat.
But he could have taken the poison, sir. so that if he lost his
No,
nerve...
no. He didn't want to die. He tried to save himself. Now, we know he was given water while he was out there. We know who gave it to him.
That chambermaid, sir?
Right you are. Miss Nora Wales. Oh, is the brother settled?
Yes, sir. I suggested that you wished him to remain in London. He'll be staying with a friend in North Kensington.
Splendid. Come along. Miss Wales.
Yes, sir? Oh, it's the inspector, isn't it?
Yes, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Well, I suppose it'll be all right. Mr. Babcock doesn't like us to talk about things that go on in the hotel.
Well, I've already spoken to him.
Oh, well, in that case...
Miss Wales, you were with Mr. Tilton during the time he was outside on the ledge?
Mr. Tilton?
Oh, yes, of course. He was registered as Jarrett, but his real name was Tilton.
I see. Yes, sir, I was with him.
You gave him some water?
He was thirsty, sir.
Yes. And you drew the water from the tap in his room?
No, sir, there wasn't a glass in there.
Oh?
I ran next door and got it from the gentleman in there.
Mr. Tilton was in room 711, and the occupant of 713 was...
Mr. Smith, sir.
Smith? Make a note of that, will you, Muffin?
I've got it, sir.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Smith.
Oh, sir, I've cleared up his room. He left the hotel last night.
I see. Miss Wales.
Yes, sir?
Did you see Mr. Smith put anything into the glass of water?
No, sir.
All right. What do you do with the rubbish in the waste paper baskets when you clean the rooms?
It's burnt, sir.
Immediately?
Yes, sir.
Can you give me a description of Mr. Smith?
Well, he was quite tall, about your height, I'd say, sir. Black hair, medium weight, sharpish face.
Would you recognize him if you saw him?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, that will be all for the present. Thanks very much.
Not at all, sir.
Come out in the hall, Moffat. Miss Wales wants to get back to work.
Well, sir?
Smith, Moffat. A convenient name if one wished to remain anonymous.
Yes, sir.
And she could have been describing Mr. Richard Tilton.
It had occurred to me at the time, sir.
Exactly. Well, I hope that Mr. Smith was more original than to use the first name of John. Mr. Smith, as it turned out on the hotel register, was not original. The name was John Smith, and the address was in Huddersfield. We put out an alarm and awaited developments. The next morning at the Yard, I found a rather surprising visitor in my office. Well, sir, good morning.
Cursed place. Smells of the law. Where's my son?
Richard, with a friend in North Kensington.
You've notified me.
Well, I don't think he wanted to worry you.
Nonsense. Wasted trip. The body was Edward's, wasn't it?
Yes.
I knew it would be.
How did you know?
Because I spoke to him in Lizardtown a week ago.
Why didn't you tell me that before, sir?
I didn't want to. There'd been enough unhappiness in my house as it was.
Where had he been?
Traveling. I suppose he had his own reasons not to let us know that he was still alive. He phoned me at Lizard. Wanted to come home.
And what did you tell him, Mr. Tilton?
Told him to stay away. We didn't want him there.
And then?
Said the only reason he had returned was because of Manda. He wanted her back. I told him it was too late, that she'd married Richard. Told him to go away. We wanted nothing more to do with him.
Go on, sir.
That's all. I wouldn't say.
Mr. Tilton, your son was killed by a fall from the 7th-story window ledge of his hotel.
Window ledge? Suicide. He killed himself. Can't be helped. I've forgotten about him. He wasn't my son anymore. I did the right thing to send him away.
You didn't tell your daughter-in-law of your conversation?
No, absolutely not. We'd already done enough to her.
What do you mean, Mr. Tilton?
Amanda is not well, Inspector. She couldn't get over the shock of Edward's death at sea. She waited a long time until she married Richard. Too long.
Are you saying that she was still in love with Edward even after she married Richard?
The false memory she loved. Edward was never what she thought. I know. I was his father.
Mr. Tilton, Where was Richard the night Edward died?
In Falmouth, visiting Amanda.
I beg your pardon.
Amanda is in a sanatorium and has been for 2 years.
Are you sure that is where he was?
Yes. He sees her every Saturday.
Edward did not commit suicide, Mr. Tilton. He was poisoned. We're looking for a murderer. Then the tall and grim-looking old man who had tried so hard to remain stern and unforgiving broke down. I left him alone in the office to regain his composure. We put through a trunk call to the sanatorium at Falmouth and learned that as Richard Tilton was such a regular visitor there, he was no longer required to sign the register. We should have to wait until the nurse on duty could be contacted. It was then 10 o'clock. At exactly 2:15, I received a phone call from King's Cross Station. They were holding a man in the station master's office. It was Mr. John Smith.
Now, what's all this?
Mr. Smith, you resided at the Queen's Hotel in room 713 2 days ago.
Of course I did. I missed my train. Now, what's all this about?
You know that the man fell to his death from the room next to yours on that night?
Do I know? He asked me. I was watching him, of course I know. I saw him fall.
You drew a glass of water for him at the request of the chambermaid.
I did.
That glass of water contained poison, Mr. Smith, and was responsible for the victim's death.
Poison? Me? Murder? I didn't even know this Jarrett chap.
Ah, but you know his name.
Of course I do. I read it in the papers. I was there, wasn't I? I saw him fall.
You'd never seen him before then?
No, never.
Why did you leave the hotel immediately after the death, Mr. Smith?
Well, what would you have done, I ask you? Could you sleep in a room what was next to a man who killed himself, I ask you?
You moved and went to another hotel?
Yes, the Winchester.
Very well. I want a written statement from you concerning these facts, and until further notice, I shall require your presence in London.
You can't do that. I'm a salesman. I'm supposed to be in Hull tomorrow. I've already missed my train. I ask you, what am I going to tell the boss?
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. I haven't the remotest idea. You may go now.
All right, all right, all right.
What do you think, sir?
Well, we'll keep an eye on him. Got to catch him with the goods anyway.
Well, I suppose that takes care of Richard Tilton, sir. The fact that there is a John Smith who was in that hotel room.
No, not entirely. Richard still has the strongest motive.
The wife?
He might have learned that Edward was still alive.
Even so, sir. Why murder a man who's about to commit suicide?
Ah, that's a question that's troubled me too, Moffat. The sanatorium at Falmouth phoned soon afterwards and established beyond any doubt that Richard Tilton had been there at the time of his brother's death. Now we had to search for another motive, possibly that of revenge. A phone call brought Cedric Tilton to Scotland Yard. Mr. Tilton, Richard mentioned that there was a man in Lizard who had been killed in a fight with your son.
That's just one of the things that Edward did, which I want to forget.
I'm sorry, sir. I must ask you these questions. Richard was of the opinion that Edward was guilty and should have been prosecuted.
It's true. It's my fault that he wasn't. I testified to self-defense. It was not self-defense. It was murder. But if you are intimating that at this late date I took the law into my own hands and did away with my son, you're mistaken.
You realize, sir, that you will have to answer to the charge of perjury.
Worthless perjury for a worthless son.
We have reason to believe that the killing must have preyed on Edward's mind. What was the name of the victim?
Wales.
Wales? Mr. Tilton?
Yes. His name was David Wales.
Miss Wales. Nora.
Oh, hello, Inspector.
Miss Wales, why did you poison Edward Tilton?
Because I was afraid he wouldn't jump.
You knew that he was the man who killed your father, didn't you?
Yes, I knew. I knew the minute I saw him.
When was that?
The afternoon he came here.
Did you plan to kill him then?
Oh, no, I was never going to kill him until that night. I'd finished dusting and I saw him go into his room. I was done for the day, and I wanted to go in and tell him that I knew who he was, that I hadn't forgotten what he'd done.
Did you face him?
No. When I went in, he was already out on the ledge. I saw him there.
What did you do?
I went over to the window and just watched. Then he saw me. He didn't know me, but he wanted to talk.
You said that you wanted him to jump.
I did. But I wanted him to think about it first. About everything that made him unhappy enough to do it. He talked about his wife and where he'd been all these years and how his father wouldn't let him come home.
Did you try to make him come in?
Oh, no. Only when somebody was in the room. Otherwise, I just listened. Then I began to think that he wouldn't jump at all. So when he asked for a glass of water, I knew what to do. I got some cockroach powder from the store cupboard, and I put it in the glass of water I got from Mr. Smith. You see, there wasn't a glass in Mr. Tilton's room.
I have to put you under arrest, Nora.
Oh, that's all right. I know you do. But it isn't as if I'd murdered him, is it? He wanted to jump, and I just helped him. That's all.
There, in the corridor of a London hotel, we heard the simple statement of guilt from a little chambermaid, with no fear or hatred in her eyes. There was only a smile of final triumph. Pursuit. And the pursuit is ended.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick. And chewing Wrigley's Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Pursuit, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis and written by Gil Dowd and Anthony Ellis. Music was composed and conducted by Marlon Skiles. John Daner stars as Inspector Peter Black, with Raymond Lawrence as Sergeant Moffat. Also featured in the cast were Eileen Erskine, Harold Hughes, Jack Edwards, Byron Kane, Herb Butterfield, and William Johnstone.
Pursuit. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's story of Pursuit, and that you're enjoying Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. We invite you to join us next week at this same time, when Pursuit will bring you another dramatic story of the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, relentlessly hunting down those whose disordered passions breed violence and murder. Another story of man hunting man, when we bring you Pursuit.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Pursuit. Pursuit. A criminal strikes and fades quickly back into the shadows of his dark world. And then, the man from Scotland Yard. The dangerous, relentless pursuit. When man hunts man. Now, with Ted DeCorsia starred as the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, we bring you tonight's story of violence and murder. The Pursuit of the Firebird.
In crime fiction, coincidence seems to be the most popular motivating force when launching the heroic investigator into his usually ludicrous and often utterly fantastic involvements. As a man from Scotland Yard, I sometimes envy these supermen of the printed page, both for their amazing intuition and for their irresistible attraction to the opposite sex, especially the latter. However, it was pure coincidence that launched me to the pursuit of the Firebird, and I had neither intuition nor the embraces of a beautiful woman to aid me. Simply the square-toed efficiency of Detective Sergeant Moffat.
Very well, sir. Very well, I shall hold it for you. When will you return?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you.
Oh, Chief Inspector Black. Fancy meeting you here.
More to the point, Mr. Baxter, fancy meeting you here. I wasn't aware that you counted music among your varied interests.
Why not? You'll change your attitude toward private detectives one of these days. We do a lot of good for the private citizen. Well, ta-ta, Inspector.
How nice to see you, Inspector. Good evening.
How are you, Mr. Quill? I'd like a copy of the Firebird suite if you have it.
Oh, what a shame. There's just one copy, and I'm saving for the gentleman who just left.
And what? Oh, yes. Oh, that's a pity. It's Mrs. Moffat's birthday. I'm going there for supper. I wanted to give it to her.
Oh, look here. I'm sure I can get another before tomorrow afternoon. He won't be in until then.
Well, that's very kind of you, Mr. Quill. I'm ever so much obliged.
I'll wrap it as a present for you. How is Mr. Moffat?
As ever, Mr. Quayle, Moffat.
Just a moment, sir. Please give him my regards and his dear lady. You wish me to bill you?
Please.
Of course. Here you are.
Thank you, Mr. Quayle.
Now, sir, what can I do for you?
Oh, a gentleman came in a few moments ago, a friend of mine. I was wondering about his musical taste for a suitable present.
I noticed it was rather a lovely evening as I made my way to the tube station with Mrs. Moffat's birthday present tucked under my arm. The Moffats lived in a comfortable, solid house in Maida Vale. I always enjoyed my all-too-infrequent visits there. The sergeant's wife, a placid, happy soul, and the sergeant. Not the Moffat of Scotland Yard, but the Moffat of slippers and pipe, of coal scuttle and fireplace. But my pleasant musings were marred by one fact. From the moment I left the record shop, I had been followed by the private detective Baxter almost to the door of Moffat's home.
Inspector, I'm so glad.
Mrs. Moffat, many happy returns.
Oh, record. You remember. Oh, you really shouldn't, you know. I'm much too old.
Nonsense, my dear.
Just for that, Inspector, I shall tell you what we are going to have for supper.
No. Let me guess. Veal and pork pie.
Oh, you detective. Moffat! The inspector's here.
Oh, hello, sir. Over there, Jiffy.
Right down.
Please make yourself comfortable. Here, your favorite chair. May I open it now?
Yes, of course.
Oh, the Firebird. How wonderful. I'll put it on while I'm finishing supper.
Well, sir. And what'll you have?
Nothing, thanks, Moffat.
I received a new fishing tackle catalog by post this morning, sir. Perhaps you'd like to have a look. What is it, sir?
Moffat, you remember a private detective, Baxter?
Oh, that dirty little mucker. I thought he'd been sent to Wandsworth long ago.
He followed me from Mr. Quayle's record shop.
All the way here, sir?
Yes. Rather odd. Be a good chap and have a look out the window, will you?
There's somebody there, sir. About 50 feet down the street.
Records shop, records, Baxter, and the Firebird. He was going to buy this album.
Moffat, why did you take it off?
The inspector wants to see something.
Anything wrong?
No, dear, no.
I'll be hanged. This one's a dud, no label. It looks like one of those, what the devil do they call them, transcription records. Private recording, you know.
Oh, what a shame.
Oh, I'm frightfully sorry, Mrs. Moffat. I say, do you think you can play it, Moffat?
I'm not sure, sir, but I'll try. There she goes, sir. Doesn't seem to have anything on it, sir.
Oh. Listen.
It's ever so exciting, isn't it? Just like a BBC play. Somebody's making a drink.
What do you think, sir?
What is there to think, Moffat? I don't know.
Darling, how did you get here? Oh.
Are you expecting somebody else?
No. Of course not. Come in.
Then she's already here. Simply dying to meet her.
She? I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you told her that you're already married?
How the devil did you find me here?
I hired a detective. Followed you. Every Friday night when you told me you were staying at the club, you went to Paddington and caught the 8:25. Well, I was there tonight. I came out in the same train with you.
Very well. I took this cottage in secrecy because I think a husband has the right to be alone
Oh,
once
I
in a
know
day.
all about that, too. You must have chosen a more imaginative name than Harold. Yes. Well, that's her idea. You behave that way with that. You've been so careful. Doesn't even travel on the same train with you. Hers just arrived.
Now, look here, this isn't doing any good. Are you going to clear out, or shall I?
Neither one of us will. You both wait for her. Make me a drink.
Well, sir. Oh, it seems to have cut off.
Let it run on. There may be more.
Whatever can it be? Terribly well played, don't you think?
It's not a play, Mrs. Moffat.
You really think there's something to it?
Now, here we are.
Time, Grace, will you read?
No, I'm quite comfortable where I am. Well, Gilbert, you can't see the lady waiting outside. Ask her to come in. Or shall I? Come in, my dear. I'm Gilbert's wife.
Grace, I warn you. Stay where you are. Grace!
Inspector,
I don't like the sound of that, sir.
Nor I, Moffat.
you can't believe it. It couldn't be.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Moffat, it could. When did it happen?
And where, sir?
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Moffat. I'm afraid I shan't be able to share your birthday party.
Poor dear. It's a shame you don't get a moment's peace.
I'll take this album and get another for you tomorrow. I promise you that next time nothing will interrupt my visit.
Oh, go on, Inspector. I'll bet you did it on purpose. You've probably got an appointment with a pretty blonde.
Mrs. Moffat, tonight you are the only woman in my life.
Moffat, why don't you say things like that to me?
I don't have to. I'm married to a you old girl.
Oh, you're terrible.
No need for you to come out, Moffat. I can manage him alone.
I don't see him, sir.
Oh, probably waiting for me down at the corner. Fog's coming in. Better phone the yard. Have them send a car out. Mr. Baxter is so interested in these records. We'll see what he has to say about them at the yard.
Right, sir. I'll see you in the morning.
Good night, Moffat.
Good night, sir.
The fog began to swirl around the light from a solitary lamppost as I searched the street for the private detective. Then I saw him. Baxter was lying across the pavement with his head lolling over the curbing. I bent over him. He was dead. Who is it? That you, Moffat? Oh!
Inspector! Sir! Are you all right? Inspector! Inspector!
He's moving.
Moffat. Moffat.
Yes, sir. Oh, you got a nasty crack, sir.
Oh?
The patrol car found you and the dead man there. Brought you inside.
Oh, my head. I'm a blasted idiot, Moffat. Whoever it was got the record.
Oh, don't worry about that now, sir. We'll take care of your head first.
All right, Moffat. All right. Next morning, in a foul mood and with a crashing headache, I went to Scotland Yard and put through a query on the deceased Baxter. I wanted information on his files, if any. Then, with Moffat, I returned to the record shop of Mr. Quayle on Wigmore Street.
Ah, Inspector. Good morning, Mr. Moffat.
Mr. Quayle, concerning the Firebird you sold me last evening.
Extraordinary performance, don't you think?
Yes, particularly the last record.
Ah, yes, beautiful.
Mr. Quayle, that record was not in the album.
Oh? Oh, yes, of course. How could I have forgotten? I tried to catch you after you left. The Mr. Baxter who had bought the album left the last record in the playing booth. Here we are. I'm terribly distressed. Some customers are so faultless.
Another man came in while I was here. Had you ever seen him before?
Another man? Oh, no. No, he didn't buy anything. He went out again. Yes, I remember. That's right.
You are quite sure that both men were strangers to you?
Oh, yes, quite sure. Trenchants, don't you know?
Well, if either comes in again, I'd be obliged if you'd call me at the yard.
Of course.
Thank you.
Inspector, you forgot the record.
I'll come back for it, Mr. Quayle.
Very good. Good morning.
You think he knows more than he's saying, sir?
I can't believe that he does. Moffat, I've known him for some time. Baxter could have told us. Or if only we had that record.
It kept me awake last night, sir. How many times did the clock strike in the beginning? I said it was 9, and Mrs. Moffat insisted it was 10.
No, it was 10, Moffat, I think. And there was a train pulling out. We heard that.
Oh, that's right, sir.
Yes. But from where? There was no town mentioned, or was there?
No. Somebody, I think it was the woman, spoke of Paddington Station.
Paddington. Yes, she'd hired a detective who followed her husband to Paddington.
Yeah.
Paddington Station. Come on, we're going down there.
In just a few moments, we'll bring you the second act of Pursuit with Peter Black, the man from Scotland Yard. But first, a brief word of interest to all of us. Freedom of information is one of our most precious guarantees. And if we don't take advantage of it, well, it's like letting a tasty apple go to rot right in front of your eyes. For in a democracy like ours, the more the people know, the stronger our democracy is. As a serviceman and as a citizen, you have an obligation to your country to know the score and an obligation to yourself, too. It's easy and pleasant to fulfill that obligation. Get the facts, the complete information by reading newspapers, magazines, books, and listening to your radio. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Information is more important to you now than ever before. Remember, the more you know, the higher you go. It's as simple as that. And now we return you to Pursuit and Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard.
May I help you, sir?
Scotland Yard.
Oh?
We are trying to ascertain the point of arrival of a particular train.
Oh, very well, sir. What time does it leave here, sir?
Yes. That we don't know, but it arrives at 10 p.m.
Oh, sir. But where?
There's a great many trains that arrive at 10 p.m. somewhere.
Yes. Wait a moment. Moffat, a departure time was mentioned on the record. Instead of going to the club on Friday evenings, the husband came to Paddington and caught the... What time was it, Moffat?
I can't remember, sir.
The husband was followed by a detective, came to Paddington and caught the 8:25.
Yes, that's it, sir.
Right. Now, sir, what trains leave here on Friday night at 8:25?
Friday night, just a moment, sir. Friday night, 8:25. Here we are. Paddington, High Wycombe. Leave Paddington at 8:25. Arrive High Wycombe, 9:56.
High Wycombe, that sounds like it, sir.
No, Moffat. The husband left at 8:25, but he and his wife were already in the house when the other woman arrived at 10 o'clock. That was the train we heard.
Yeah.
But we are getting somewhere. What are the stops on the way to High Wycombe?
Stops on the 8:25 train, sir? Well, none.
Oh. Well, that's out then.
Mr. Moore, there's another 8:25, sir.
Huh?
Leaves Paddington for Reading.
Are there any other trains that leave later and make 10 o'clock stops on that route?
10 o'clock. Just a second, sir. Here's one. Leaves at 9:15. Arrives at Windsor and Eton at 10.
Good show.
And another leaving at 9:25. Arrives at Twyford at 10:02. That's only to set down, of course. That's a lot, sir.
You're absolutely positive?
Oh, yes, sir. Friday night. Yeah, it is.
May I have the schedule, please?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you. Well, Moffat, Windsor and Eton or Twyford?
Well, it's something, sir.
You know, Sergeant, my headache is beginning to disappear. The pursuit had a nightmarish quality. The investigation of the private detective led us nowhere. He had numerous enemies, it could be assumed, but no files in his dilapidated office. So, up to this point, we had nothing to follow but the elusive sounds and voices on a recording that we had heard only once. We didn't know who the principals were, and we didn't know when the incident had taken place. But we were a little closer to knowing where it had occurred. Moffat and I spent a day questioning railway personnel and house-brokers at Windsor and Eton. When we had finished, the results were negative. We didn't know whether this proved failure or progress. And so, the following morning, we moved on to Twyford, and by early afternoon, we found ourselves still with no answers. We left the station master, apologetically shrugging his shoulders, and walked slowly up the high street.
I don't know, sir. You'd think that in a way station like this, somebody would remember a young woman who got off a through train every Friday night.
Yes, I know. Well, there's only one housebroker here. We'll just have to trust to luck.
It must be at the end of the road, sir. The station master told it was number 318. This is 162.
Right you are. Look here, Moffat. Assuming that the case is as we discussed it, does this make sense? The woman hires the detective Baxter to follow and obtain evidence against her husband. She learns from his reports that, under an assumed name, he let a cottage. The tech then installs a recording apparatus in order to substantiate evidence.
Then why did the wife come there herself?
Possibly to confront him with the girl. At any rate, when the scene ended in violence, the record was used by the tech as a blackmail device.
And you stumbled into it, sir, when you bought that album of the Firebird to Mrs. Moffat, eh?
So it seems. But who died in that room? The wife Grace or Daphne, the eternal other woman?
Well, it sounds right, sir.
Yes, and so do those bells, Moffat. Hear them? Ever since we first heard them this morning, I'll swear they're the same as those on the record.
Well, I haven't got much of an ear for it, sir. I hope you're right. Oh, there it is. Passworthy and Hammerfish, housebreakers.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Passworthy.
Oh, no, I'm Hammerfish. Mr. Passworthy died 15 years ago. He was a senior partner of the firm.
I'm Chief Inspector Black of Scotland Yard.
How do you do?
Mr. Hammerfish, we're trying to locate a gentleman by the name of Harold Smith, whom I have reason to believe let a cottage in Twyford, possibly from you, sir.
Smith, a little difficult, that, sir. Can you tell me when?
Well, as a matter of fact, I can't. You are the only housebroker in the village, are you not?
Oh, yes.
Well, then, if he has been renting, he would deal with you.
Definitely, sir. You don't know where the cottage is.
No.
But you know that it is here in Twyford.
I think so, Mr. Hammerfish.
You have quite a problem, have you not, Inspector?
Yes, rather.
I'm afraid it's another town, sir. There's absolutely no one by the name of Harold Smith letting a cottage through my house.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hammerfish. I'm sorry to have troubled you.
I wish you luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moffat. Yes, sir?
When do you think the shooting took place?
Oh, I don't know, sir. 2 weeks ago, possibly 3.
Why? Why do you think that? And why have I?
Well, I really couldn't say, sir.
Of course you couldn't, because it's psychologically right for us to think that. All the actual events, the man who followed me, the attack, the murder of Baxter, they've all been recent. Therefore, we have assumed that the recorded events took place recently.
Yes.
But suppose they didn't, Moffat. Suppose they took place a year ago, 2 years, 3, even more.
By gum, sir, that hadn't occurred to me.
Well, let's return to Mr. Hammerfish. Possibly his files will refresh his memory. And they did. 10 minutes later, a page, filled with the Spencerian scrawl of Mr. Hammerfish, told us that Harold Smith had engaged a cottage on Millbridge Road in June of the year 1945. We followed the history of the cottage, and as we did so, the path of pursuit unwound and straightened into its inevitable course.
Now, Inspector, here we are. As I told you, I had never seen Mr. Smith. All our business was done by post. In October of 1945, he notified me, here's the letter, that a sudden change of plan necessitated his leaving the cottage. He paid me for a month.
After that, sir?
Rather unusual, I'd forgotten. 2 days later, a Mr. Amberley came here and asked to purchase the same cottage. He insisted that he could be satisfied with no other.
Amberley?
Yes, Gilbert C. Amberley.
Moffat! Gilbert! Gilbert, the voice on the record that finally came to life. Moffat and I left Twyford by the first train, and an hour and 15 minutes later were in the yard. We consulted the files of missing persons for the year 1945, and then, when we had found what we sought, our case was all but complete. We were now ready to go to the address given to us by Mr. Hammerfish.
Yes?
Mrs. Amberley?
Yes.
Inspector Black of Scotland Yard. This is Sergeant Moffat. May we come in?
Please do. Did you want to see my husband?
If you don't mind.
Not at all. You follow me.
Thank you.
Gilbert,
Oh, yes, my dear.
these gentlemen are from Scotland Yard. Inspector Black and Sergeant Moffat.
Oh? Well, won't you sit down?
Thank you, Mr. Amberley.
I must say that for no good reason. I feel guilty. Does a visit from the police always inspire such a reaction? I've really had no contact with you chaps.
Then you've been extremely fortunate, sir, up to now.
What do you mean?
5 years ago, a girl was reported to the yard by a friend as missing. Her name was Daphne Lane. She has never been found.
Oh? Grace, perhaps the gentleman would like some tea.
No, thank you, sir. To continue. Miss Lane was known to have visited a cottage in Millbridge Road at Twyford, which was let in the name of Harold Smith. That was you, sir.
Nonsense. I own a cottage there, but Smith? It's nonsense.
Do you also deny, sir, that 3 days ago at approximately 5:30, you were in a gramophone shop on Wigmore Street?
Yes, I do.
Very well. And also that you followed a man by the name of Baxter to Maida Vale?
The devil should I follow anyone?
Because, sir, you knew that Baxter was in possession of a record that has been very important to you during the past 5 years, and that by mere chance, the record found its way into my hands.
Record?
I submit these facts to you, sir. That on a certain night in October 1945, either you or Mrs. Amberley shot to death the woman Daphne Lane in the cottage at Twyford. That the recording, taken by a detective Baxter, hired by your wife, has been used as a weapon of blackmail against you. That 3 nights ago, after following Baxter, you killed him and then took the incriminating record from me.
Facts? You call these facts? Why, they're theories. And since they do not concern me, I must ask you to leave.
Very well, Mr. Amberley. But when I do, I'm going back to the cottage at Twyford. And I shall tear up every inch of ground and cellar, because I'm convinced that you didn't purchase the place for sheer sentiment's sake. And I am sure you know what I am going to find.
Grace, no, stop it.
And if she doesn't stop it, Mr. Amberley, will you shoot her?
It's been horrible 5 years.
Grace, no, don't, please.
5 years dreaming of it and living it every hour of the day. I can't help it, Gilbert. I want it to be finished. I'm glad it is.
Well, Mr. Amberley?
Oh, it's true. And I admit my part in it. My loyalties were to my wife, not to that poor girl. I wanted to protect Grace. In order to do so, I had to kill Baxter.
You were a little late, sir, in realizing those loyalties.
It's funny you should say that, Inspector. You see, it's only been during these frightened years we found a closeness and even happiness we'd never known before. Oh, Grace. Oh, my dear.
And so a husband and wife who had been drawn together by murder spent their last few moments before their formal arrest. An arrest which would part them forever. Pursuit. And the pursuit is ended.
Pursuit is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis and written by Gil Dowd and Anthony Ellis. Music was arranged and conducted by Marlon Skiles. Featured in the cast were Raymond Lawrence, Doris Lloyd, Peggy Weber, Joseph Kearns, Lou Krugman, and Bill Johnstone.
Pursuit. You've been listening to Pursuit, dynamic tales from the files of the man from Scotland Yard, wherein man hunts man. Pursuit is a regular presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment
Pursuit. Pursuit. A criminal strikes and fades quickly back into the shadows of his own dark world. And then the man from Scotland Yard, the famous Inspector Peter Black, and the dangerous, relentless pursuit. When man hunts man.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert, adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious.
Now, with John Dana starred as the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, Wrigley's Spearmint Gum brings you tonight's story, Pursuit of the Masked Five.
Moffat, what's an 11-letter word for a person who writes obituaries?
I don't know, sir.
Necra something. Oh, well. Would you like to see the paper?
Oh, thanks very much. I say, Inspector.
Yes?
Could I have the manacle on my right hand? This one's getting awfully tired.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's better. Oh, it's stiff.
Rub it and get the circulation back.
Look here. If you simply must keep me in irons, can't I have them on both hands? Must I be shackled to the seat?
Afraid so, sir. Would you mind moving down now?
All right.
Perhaps you'd rather sit on this side with your back to the engine?
No, thanks. It makes me deathly ill.
No? Your hand, please.
What time do we arrive in London?
Tomorrow morning, 5:20.
Frightful hour. How do you expect me to get any sleep with these things on?
Just have to do the best you can, sir. We had good reason to have this man shackled to the seat in our compartment. We were confident that he was one of 5 men who had carried out one of the boldest and most lucrative robberies in the history of London. £500,000 from Barton's Bank, Oxford Street. This had taken place 2 weeks ago, and the entire resources of Scotland Yard had been unable to uncover the slightest trace of clue or criminal, until an alert shopkeeper in Carlisle, some 300 miles to the northwest, identified the serial number of one of the missing £5 notes and held the passer of the bill until the police arrived. He refused to identify himself or state how he came into possession of the money. Moffat and I felt that this evidence was sufficient to warrant the return of our nameless prisoner to London and Scotland Yard.
Another station, sir? I thought this was a through train.
It is, Moffat. There shouldn't be any halts between Carlisle and Preston.
That's queer. We're slowing down, sir.
From the sound of that whistle, there may be something on the lines. Pop your head out and have a look.
Right, sir. Excuse me. Quite all right. No station, that's certain, sir. There seem to be some lights up there. Probably something on the crossover.
Let's go outside. Yeah.
See? Those lights, sir.
Yes. Conductor.
Yes, sir?
What's up?
Sorry, sir. A lorry stalled on the crossover. Won't be a moment. Better stay aboard, sir.
Right you are. Come on, Moffat.
I wish you'd close that blinking door. It's cold.
I'm sorry, sir.
Just a moment.
What?
Don't close the door. He's got a gun, sir.
Yes, I know.
Hello, chum. No names. Come on, we've got a car waiting.
Oh, I can't. They've got these bloody things on me.
You get them off quick.
I'm afraid not. What do you look like under your mask?
Stay where you are. Give me the key.
No fear. If you want it, you'll have to shoot.
Shoot him, Mother. Shut up, blaster.
For the last time, give me the key.
Sorry.
Give me the gun. I'll make him up. No, there's no time. Come on, shoot them off. The link. Here.
There's no time for that either. It's your fault. We told you not to go to Carlisle.
But you can't let them take me.
I know. Sorry.
No! Oh, Roger!
Moffat,
no!
stop it! Pull the emergency cord, Moffat. I'm going after him. I was not as fortunate as the man who had dropped from the train before me. I lost my balance and was a few seconds regaining my feet. I ran back down the railway lines. There was a shadow racing about 50 feet in front of me. A shadow that vaulted a hedgerow and then disappeared.
Let's go. Right! Come on, move!
Oh, blast.
Inspector!
Here, Moffat.
You all right, sir?
Why, Moffat? Why is it that we can't carry guns and they can?
I don't know, sir. Tradition, I suppose. You all right, sir?
There were no lights on her. I couldn't see the registration. Looked and sounded like a Vauxhall, though.
You better do something about your forehead, sir. It's bleeding.
Huh? Oh, later, Moffat. What about the prisoner? Is he dead?
Oh, like a doornail, sir.
I find that neither amusing nor analogous, Moffat.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Come along. We'll have a look at that ruddy lorry. It was a ramshackle 1926 Overland, bearing no registration at all. It had obviously been driven onto the lines and abandoned, headlamps switched on for the express purpose of halting our train. We returned to our carriage for the luggage, removed the manacles from our dead prisoner, and instructed the conductor to seal the compartment until the arrival of yardmen in London. Then Moffat and I climbed into the cab of the old lorry and gingerly set out for the nearest village, which was Ambleside, about 18 miles away. I drove one of these things to Devonshire once, on a lark. It was new then. It didn't sound any better than this.
This road doesn't help, sir.
You know, Moffat, this whole thing was very nicely planned and carried out.
Uh-huh. I'd say so, sir.
In spite of the fact that it failed. Or did it fail?
I don't follow you, sir.
Why didn't he blow the manacles of our prisoner with his gun?
He'd have had to have turned away from us to do it, sir.
And why didn't he shoot us first?
Not much time, sir. The train was moving.
No, I don't think so. At that range, shot, you're finished. Shot, I'm done. 2 or 3 seconds. Oh, no, he would have had time. Perhaps they wanted to kill him. They might have been taking him from the train to kill him, you know.
The one called Roger, sir. He said they told him not to go to Carlisle.
Yes. There are 2 points there. 1, we know we're looking for a man named Roger. Number 2, what we hoped would happen after the robbery may well have happened. There was already dissension among the quintet. Thus, one eliminated.
I'd say that was pretty important, sir.
Right you are. Now, another thing. We took our prisoner aboard the train half an hour before departure. They must have seen us enter the compartment. Between that time and the halting of the train, they accomplished quite a lot.
Yes, sir. Came here from Carlisle, got this lorry.
They knew where the train would stop. They knew where the road would parallel the lines. They knew a great deal, Moffat.
They must have been pretty familiar with these parts, sir. You think the Barton robbery could have been done by Carlisle people and not Londoners?
No, not necessarily Carlisle. Remember, the Vauxhall drove off in this direction toward Ambleside.
They've got a good start, sir. And we're not doing much better than 20.
Hello. What's that on the road ahead?
Looks like a man, sir. Staggering all over the place.
Yes, he's awfully drunk or badly hurt, I'd say.
I'm dead. 'Tis an angel in a bowler hat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Give him a hand, Moffat. Come along, sir. We'll drive you to the village and a doctor.
Oh, busted my brains, they did.
Who did, sir?
It was, oh, hi, Molly.
I beg your pardon?
She's my lorry. You wouldn't be the beggars that bashed me brains in, only you was wearing masks before.
Masks? How many were there?
You ought to know. No, you ain't gonna hit me again.
We're policemen from Scotland Yard in London.
That don't give you no right to kill a man and steal his molly.
We want to help you, sir. We're the police.
Oh, I'm saved.
These men that attacked you, how many were they?
Hundreds of them. Hundreds.
Yes. Did they have a car?
A huge black thing it were.
Could it have been a Vauxhall?
It might.
Did you notice the registration?
Nay, they ran me off the road and dragged me out and then killed me on the head.
From which direction did they come?
Well, Ambleside it was.
Those are the ones, sir?
Have you seen the car again, say in the past quarter of an hour?
Oh, nay. But I just woke up.
I see. Would you direct us to the chief constable of the district, Mr.
Gullion. Jeremy Gullion, and I'll direct you. Mr. Bashwood lives in Ambleside.
Very well. Now, get in, sir. We'll get you to a doctor.
Oh, no. Get away from that wheel. Jeremy Gullion allows nobody to drive Molly but himself. There she be, sir. Chief Constable's house.
Thank you, Mr. Gullion. We'll want to see you again later.
You can find me. Everyone knows where I live.
Sir.
Yes, I see it.
Hot, sir. She's been on a fast run. She's big, too.
Black, and it's a Vauxhall.
But what's it doing in front of the chief constable's house?
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. The lively, full-bodied, real mint flavor cools your mouth, moistens your throat, freshens your taste. And the chewing itself gives you a little lift, helps you keep going at your best. So for real chewing enjoyment that's refreshing and long-lasting, always keep Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. Healthful, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum will make every day more enjoyable.
Now, the second act of Pursuit of the Masked Five.
Our pursuit had led us to Ambleside, in the heart of the Lake District in mountainous Westmoreland. It had also led us into an extremely delicate situation. We were almost certain that the Vauxhall car used by the escaping criminals was the one now standing in front of the chief constable's house. It was my uncomfortable duty to question him as a possible suspect, a task which could be most difficult as the authority of the district lay in Mr. Bashwood's hands and not in mine.
Yes?
Chief Constable Bashwood?
Yes?
I'm Chief Inspector Black of Scotland Yard. This is Sergeant Moffat.
Won't you come in?
Yeah, thanks so much.
Scotland Yard. Well?
Sergeant Moffat and I were taking a prisoner to London from Carlisle.
Oh, really? Do sit down.
Yeah. Our train was stopped and our prisoner killed by a man who then drove off with 2 or 3 others.
Killed your prisoner? Really?
We believe that they are the men who robbed Barton's bank 2 weeks ago.
No.
Mr. Bashwood, I'm afraid I must ask you a rather impertinent question.
Impertinent?
The Vauxhall outside. Is it yours?
Well, yes, of course it is.
Have you driven it tonight?
No.
I'm sorry, sir, but it has been driven.
What? What do you mean?
Within the past half hour, sir.
Rot, sir. It's absolute blasted blither, sir. But
Radiator and bonnet are still hot, sir.
Gad, sir, you calling me a liar?
No, sir. I don't doubt your word, but somebody has driven it.
Oh, we'll see about this.
Peppery old goat, isn't he, sir? Unless he wants us to think he is.
Quiet, Muffin.
Who the devil has been driving my car?
That's what we want to find out, sir.
By gad, somebody's going to pay for this. Well, it was here when I came home.
When was that?
Oh, 10 minutes ago. I was playing dominoes with old Petal-Free.
Mr. Petal-Free can corroborate that?
Dash it all, sir. You questioning the veracity of my statement? I've been with him since 8 o'clock.
Do you leave the keys in your car when it's outside, sir?
Well, of course I do. Nobody steals cars in Ambleside.
I see.
By Jove, this is serious. This is juicy serious.
It is, sir. And I'm sure that with your assistance we can get to the bottom of it. There's no doubt that your car was used by the men we're after. Tell me, sir, have there been any strangers in the town recently?
Well, of course, there are always strangers here. Tourists, don't you know? They come to throw refuse in Windermere Lake. What do these men look like?
We don't know, sir. They've been seen only masked. I would say that they are comparatively young, although one seemed older than the rest. Mr. Bashford assured me of his full support and immediately retired to bed, graciously allowing me the use of his telephone. Moffat obtained a map, and we drew a rough circle around our present location, then notified the police of Carlisle, Penrith, Windermere, Barrow, and Whitehaven. The cordon began to form. With luck, our quarry would find no road open to them. But there were the Cumbrian Mountains, the fells and waters of the Lake District, and these we should have to cover inch by inch. The next morning, Moffat and I contacted by phone every village and hamlet within a 20-mile radius and explained to each local constable the problem at hand. We warned them that the men we sought were dangerous. Then there was nothing to do but wait. At 11 o'clock, our patience was rewarded. Chief Inspector Black. Yes? Oh. Where did you say? Pencil, Muffin.
Here you are, sir.
Thanks. Yes? Greenup Edge, huh? Yeah. Right. About 6 miles, huh? Good. Thank you, Constable. We'll be right over. Yes? Goodbye.
Got something, sir?
I think so. Constable at Greenup Edge says 4 men rented a cottage near there about 2 weeks ago. He thinks they might fit the general physical description we have.
Oh, it's worth a try, sir.
But we'll need pistols.
Chief Constable might be able to supply us, sir.
He might, if he is still in his office. I get the feeling that Mr. Bashford is more of a gentleman of leisure than Chief Constable.
2 Bobby makes you sign for the pistol, sir.
You're on, Moffat. I'll stare him down.
Come in. Ah, Inspector. Any luck? Any luck?
Possibly, sir. We've received word from Greenup Edge. 4 suspects staying there.
Well, we must write 'em down, eh, sir? Nothing like this has happened in Ambleside, and by Geoffrey, sir, we'll write 'em down.
Sergeant Moffat and I are unarmed. Do you have any firearms?
Well, of course, always for an emergency. Webley, sir. Fine weapon. Reminds me of the old days in Afghanistan. Tribesmen, wild devils. Cut your heart out for one of these.
Yes, I'm sure of it, sir. Thanks very much.
Not at all. I wish I could go with you. My gout, you know.
Yes, I understand, sir.
Well, keep in touch with me. All the best. And, by the way, before you go, would you sign for these pistols, please?
Yes, of course. Oh, sir, before I forget, you needn't worry about your statement last night.
I beg your pardon?
You said that you had been playing dominoes with Mr. Petal-Free and that you had not been driving your car.
But of course I did.
And Mr. Petal-Free and 2 other neighbors attested to that fact this morning, sir. Therefore, you will be pleased to know that you are no longer a suspect.
But dash it all, sir. When was I? When was I?
Precautions, sir, precautions. You, as an old soldier, will appreciate that. Good morning.
Inspector, the pistols you didn't sign for.
No time now, sir. They'll be returned in good order. 2 shillings, please, Moffat.
Yes, sir.
But you told me there are only 4 men here, Constable.
That's all I've seen about, sir. but there were 5 a week or more ago.
One we picked up in Carlisle, sir?
It might be. There's the cottage, Inspector. You know, I thought it was odd. Those 4 walking trip in the mountains, they said. But they never walked. They just stayed in the cottage.
You'd better stay here, Constable. The men are armed.
If you say so, sir.
Wait a moment.
See something, sir?
May have been the curtain at the open window.
If these are our people, they chose a good place. Pretty isolated. Wild country, sir.
Yes. The 5th man should have stayed here. He might be alive. Careful now. Come on. Well, that's the end of the trees. Stay here and cover me, will you?
Right, sir.
Moffat! Well, that's another one, Moffat.
Nasty, sir.
Yes. You recognize him?
Grim without the mask, sir. I'd say it was the chap on the train, Roger.
Mm-hmm.
Shot him in the head while he was asleep.
I don't think asleep. Look here. Tray by the bed with untouched food. Medicine. Huh. The man was ill.
But why kill him, sir?
He might have... Wait a moment. This is Atterbury. Ah. Here's your answer, Moffat. Malaria.
Malaria, sir?
Right. He was probably delirious. That's why they killed him. He couldn't go with them, obviously. They didn't want to leave him behind to talk.
You think they went afoot, sir?
Yeah, looks like it. Here, you see this? And this? Hairbrushes, clothes. Oh, no, Moffat. They took nothing extraneous.
Only £500,000, eh, sir?
Yes. Now, the next thing to find out is which way they went. I left the constable on guard at the cottage, and Moffat and I returned to Greenup Edge. From there, the manhunt began. We felt reasonably sure that they had gone on foot, and when we went back to the cottage again, our hunters confirmed this. A pack of hounds from Helvellyn had been brought to the scene and immediately took up the scent, leading us into the strange and almost fictitious grandeur of the lakes and mountains of Cumberland. Yes?
We found something!
Right!
Anybody ever ask me to take a walk again, I'll kill him.
It's slippery here, Moffat. Careful.
Yes.
The dogs sound excited, Moffat.
I wouldn't like to have them after me, sir.
Oh, there. There's the constable on that crag.
What is it, Constable? There's a portmanteau, too.
He must be close, then. They're trying to travel faster.
Which way? Come
We went on, stumbling and fighting our way up the grim crags and slopes of Gabble Fell. For the fugitives, weighted down by their plunder, it must have been sheer torture. 45 minutes later, against the dead, grey face of rock near the barren peak, we saw 3 men struggling slowly upward, helpless and vulnerable. There was no crevice nor shrub to shield them from their pursuers. And except for what they may have had in their pockets, they carried nothing in their hands but their lives.
You men! Come down! We have rifles!
If they get to the top, sir, we're going to have trouble. The dogs can't get across that face. We'll have to bring them down again and take them round to the other side to pick up the trail. We'll lose the daylight.
Very well. Moffat, hand me the rifle.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
There's a cartridge already in the chamber, sir.
Right. I saw 3 puffs of dust explode above the head of each man. And then I saw them stop, hesitate, and begin the slow descent to where we waited at the foot of Gabble Fell. Pursuit. And the pursuit is ended.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick. And chewing Wrigley's Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Pursuit, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis and written by Gil Dowd and Anthony Ellis. Music was composed and conducted by Marlon Skiles. John Daner stars as Inspector Peter Black, with Raymond Lawrence as Sergeant Moffat. Also featured in the cast were Ben Wright, Parley Bear, Dan O'Herlihy, Ramsey Hill, and Tudor Owen. Pursuit. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you've enjoyed tonight's story of Pursuit and that you're enjoying Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day.
We invite you to join us next week at this same time when Pursuit will bring you another dramatic story of the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, relentlessly hunting down those whose disordered passions breed violence and murder. Another story of man hunting man when we bring you Pursuit.
Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment. Pursuit.
Pursuit. A criminal strikes and fades quickly back into the shadows of his own dark world. And then the man from Scotland Yard, the famous Inspector Peter Black, and the dangerous, relentless pursuit. When man hunts man.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert, adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious.
Now, with John Dana starred as the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, Wrigley's Spearmint Gum brings you tonight's story, Pursuit of the Limehouse Killers.
Chief Inspector Black.
Sergeant Meston here, sir. Called for you.
Anything important, Meston? I'm just about to go home.
Don't know, sir. It's a man. Says he won't talk to anyone but you.
Put him on, will you?
Yes, sir. Chief Inspector will talk to you.
Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Tell the other chap to hang up.
All right. Now, who's speaking, please?
Hello, Peter. This is Mr. Roach.
Clive! How are you, old boy? We've been worried about you.
Awfully sorry I haven't been able to get in touch sooner. I found the head man.
Good work. Who is it?
Jackman.
Oh, wonderful.
Only two things wrong. I can't locate the narcotics, and they just popped him off.
What? Who did it?
Oh, I don't know. Someone here, I think. Jackman's on the second floor back, the room next to mine.
Are you there now?
Yes, they're up to something.
We better make our move, then.
Right, but I wanted to warn you.
Yes?
When you get here... all right, Ducky. Keep it warm for me, eh? Ta-ta!
Moffat.
Yes, sir?
Fetch a car, will you?
Right, sir. Couple?
Our inside man on the narcotics matter has located the leader. For over a year, Scotland Yard had been working on the case. It involved one of the cleverest and most sinister narcotics rings in the British Isles. We knew their methods, and we knew some of their lesser members. But to date, we had been unable to make an arrest. The phone call I had received was from a flying squad man, Clive Furness, who, using the name Roach, had been assigned the unenviable task of living in the neighborhood that harbored the scum and driftwood of London's underworld. Ostensibly, he was one of them, and it was this fact which we had hoped would guide us to the leader of the organization. It took us quite some time to arrive at the dismal Coldwater flat at Limehouse. The fog was very dense, and the street lamps waged a valiant but futile battle against it.
You can taste the filthy stuff, sir.
Yes, I know. It's a fallacy, Moffat. There's not the slightest similarity to... Pea soup. Now, wait a minute. Did you hear something?
A foghorn, sir?
No. A woman. Sounded as though she were in pain, crying. Although I imagine there's a lot of pain down here, Moffat, and not all physical. Come on. Can you make out the numbers?
That was 36 we just passed, sir.
Right.
First movement of Symphony No. 3, F major of Johannes Brahms, played by the Holly Orchestra, conducted tonight by
Landlord, sir?
Yes.
Yes?
Are you the landlord here?
Yes.
Scotland Yard.
So?
We received a report there's been somebody done away with in your building.
Done away with? You got the wrong place.
Does a man named Jackman live here?
Not anymore.
Oh?
He moved away 2 days ago.
I should like to see his quarters, please.
You're the police. I got to show you. Upstairs.
Would you give me your name, please?
Capriles.
Do you know where Mr. Jackman went?
No.
Does anyone else occupy the room now?
No.
Mr. Jackman moved away 2 days ago and left his clothing?
That's right. I wouldn't let him take them. He owed me money for the flat. I told him to pay, and I would give his clothes to him. Who tells you this? Somebody dead here.
You received a phone call at the yard. It may have been from somebody in the building.
Must be a joke. Somebody called to make trouble.
How many rooms are there on this floor, Mr. Caprillis?
3.
And who occupies the one next to Mr. Jackman?
Nobody.
Oh? How long has it been empty?
2 days ago.
What was the man's name?
I did not say it was a man.
Who was it, then?
A man.
Name?
Roach.
We'll see his room, please.
All right.
Your tenants move rather hurriedly and frequently, Mr. Caprillis.
That's against the law?
Not at all. Merely an observation. Mr. Caprillis, you always leave the windows open in your vacant flats?
Sometimes. If they smell, I leave them open.
And did Mr. Roach, was it, prefer a ladder to the stairs?
I was going to paint the building. You've seen enough? Nobody dead in here.
I hadn't expected to find anyone dead in here. Had you, Mr. Caprillis? And in here, Mr. Caprillis?
Just a girl. You don't have to bother her. She doesn't know anything. She's drunk all the time. Always drunk.
You can go downstairs, Mr. Caprillis. I'll see you in a few minutes.
You're wasting your time. It was a joke. Nobody dead in here.
Keep your eyes open, Moffat. You can watch the front door from the banister. See that nobody leaves.
Right, sir.
May I speak to you a moment, miss?
I'm tired. Go away.
It's the police.
Wait a minute. I was asleep. What do you want?
There are one or two questions I should like to ask. May I come in?
Better use the bed. The chair's broke. No, don't use the bed.
All right.
A friend of mine broke it. Give me this bruise, too. Have a drink? My friend gives me whiskey, too.
No, thank you.
Gotta use a cup. So I broke the glass. I don't remember when. Yesterday, maybe.
Did you know Mr. Jackman along the corridor?
Of course I did.
When was the last time that you saw him?
I don't remember. It was yesterday, maybe. The day before, I don't remember. Sure you won't have a drink? I don't like to drink alone. It's sad. It's lonely.
There was a report phoned into Scotland Yard this evening that Mr. Jackman had been murdered here, possibly in his room. Did you hear anything?
No. No, I'll never hear anything. I'll just live here. I'm on my own business.
Have you been here during the whole evening?
The whole evening? Oh, yes, I've been here. I was going out for a bite with my friend. But he didn't turn up. I'm frightened. Go away. Leave me alone.
Why are you frightened?
Don't you know? Everything. Everybody. I was going to have a baby once. Died. I wish I'd died too. It's lonely and frightened.
There was another man on your floor, Mr. Roach.
I didn't know him.
I may want to talk to you again. Would you give me your name, please?
My name? Glory. Just ask for Glory. Everybody in Limehouse knows Glory.
I heard you crying on the street before I came in here. Why have you been crying?
Wasn't me you heard. I've got no reason to cry ever. It's a little bit too much to drink. If you're finished, Mr. Policeman, you can go now.
Yeah, all right. Will you do this for me? Don't be frightened. I know what has been going on here, and I know how to stop it. Please call me when you feel you can talk. All right. I'll go now.
Don't go. Please. Stay here with me. I'm lonely.
Here, take this.
No, I don't want your money, not now. Stay with me, that's all. I'm frightened.
I'm sorry. If you wish, I'll leave a man outside.
Go on. That's right. Get out of it. You make me sick. You're nothing but a dirty copper. You're all alike. Get out!
I left the girl who in Somerset or Devon would have been so pretty, but in London's Limehouse was not, but so frightened and unhappy that she had to remain intoxicated to tolerate living. I wondered who her friend was and why he gave her whiskey, and where she fitted into the sordid picture of narcotics and murder. I arranged for a constable to stand on guard and returned to the yard with Moffat to await further word from our flying squad man, Clive Furness, alias Mr. Roach. The ladder outside his room might have been his means of escape.
Beg your pardon, sir.
You can go home if you want to, Moffat.
No, sir, I'll wait.
They were lying. Both of them. The landlord Capriles because he knows what's going on, and the girl because she's afraid. But I can't bring either one of them in. We have no proof of either murder or narcotics.
What I don't understand, sir, is how they covered the traces of Jackman's murder so quickly.
I'm afraid, Moffat.
Sir?
I wonder... this may be Furness. Chief Inspector Black. Oh? Where? Yes, would you? Man's body has been found in an alley behind the boarding house, Moffat.
Oh, sir?
Sergeant has the description. Yes, Sergeant. What? Are you sure? Oh. Yes, I see. Yes, I'll come down. Thank you.
Well, sir?
Not Jackman, but a chap I rather liked. Detective Sergeant Furness. He's been murdered.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. The lively, full-bodied, real mint flavor cools your mouth, moistens your throat, freshens your taste. And the chewing itself gives you a little lift, helps you keep going at your best. So for real chewing enjoyment that's refreshing and long-lasting, always keep Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. Healthful, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum will make every day more enjoyable.
Now, the second act of Pursuit of the Limehouse Killers.
Well, sir, I don't imagine he suffered much. They had to put him out of the way quickly. They knew we were coming. What about his wife, sir? Are you going to tell her, or will the commissioner?
I'll tell her, Moffat, in the morning. We're going back to the Limehouse.
Now, sir? It's almost 3.
Would you be able to sleep, Moffat?
No, sir. If you don't mind, I'll have a couple of pistols issued.
All right, Moffat. I'll meet you at the car. Everything quiet, Constable?
Oh, yes, Inspector. No one's gone in, no one's come out.
Right. Your relief will be here in about an hour.
Thank you, sir.
The girl first, sir?
Yes. She knows. This time she's going to tell us. Miss Glory.
I've got the light, sir.
Oh, that's torn it. I should have taken her in before. Come on. Capriles, where is the girl upstairs?
How should I know?
Up to now, you seem to have been well aware of the movements of your tenants.
Maybe she went out. Maybe she likes to walk at night.
There is a constable on duty outside. He says that no one left here.
Now you think she's dead, like you think Jackman's dead, eh? Look, somebody's playing a joke with you. Nobody's dead here. Why don't you leave me alone?
You lied about Mr. Roach.
I don't lie.
He was found dead tonight in an alleyway near here.
So?
Mr. Roach is the man who phoned me about Jackman. He used the telephone in this building until tonight he was living here. You've been lying.
I don't lie. He moved away 2 days ago. Maybe he come back tonight to see a friend. I'm just the landlord. I don't spy.
Let me try, sir. I'm only a sergeant.
Moffat, take your hands off him.
Sorry, sir.
Capriles, you are to stay here. If you attempt to leave, you'll be placed under arrest immediately.
Why should I go away? This is where I live.
An investigation of the house showed us that someone had used a skylight leading to the roof in order to escape the building unnoticed. Our case now rested on evidence only the girl could supply. At the yard, I sent out a general alarm for her, and then took to my office couch for an hour or two's rest. When I awoke, the first thing that I did was to go to Detective Sergeant Clive Furness's home. His wife took the tragic news rather wonderfully, and I knew that in their marriage, Furness had been a most fortunate man. When I returned to the yard, I learned that Jackman's body had still not been found. Therefore, I ordered the river police to drag the Thames in an effort to recover it. There was still no word of the girl. I decided to go to Limehouse and try once more to question Capriles.
Why? What questions? I answered last night what you asked. Why?
We think that you know what happened to Mr. Roach and to Jackman.
Roach, I told you. Jackman moved away 2 days ago. He owed me money. I told you. You don't believe me? Why don't you ask him?
Him?
Mr. Jackman. He come back this morning, paid his money. I give him the key to his room. There's nobody dead here.
He's upstairs. Now? As I walked upstairs, I carried with me the sight of his insolent and toothy smile, and the expression in his hard, dark eyes that told me he thought he was making a fool of me and of the yard. There could be no mistake if it was Jackman. Criminal Records Office had a complete dossier with photographs of him, which I had studied.
Scotland Yard.
What?
The police.
Come in. I'm showing.
You are Mr. Jackman?
Yeah, that's me.
What happened to you last night?
Last night? It's rather personal, isn't it?
Murder is personal, Mr. Jackman.
Murder? I don't follow you.
Mr. Roach, your neighbor, called the yard and stated that you'd been killed.
Hey, Dotty. Do I look dead?
Where have you been?
I was asked to leave 3 days ago. Back at Funsdale. Last night I made a sweep of White City, Greyhounds. I paid Mr. Caprilis, and I'm back at home, sweet home.
You have witnesses to swear to your statement?
Well, I can find them if you want.
You may have to, Mr. Jackman. Good morning. Before his death, Furness had told us that Jackman was the leader of the narcotics ring. But an arrest on those charges necessitated the discovery of narcotics on the person of the principals, a task which at this point in our investigation seemed to me an impossibility. I determined, therefore, to take grim advantage of the murder of Clive Furness, and if I could find proof, arrest Jackman and Caprilis on that more serious charge. In order to accomplish this, I left instructions with the men guarding the rooming house and returned to the yard. At 6 o'clock that evening, word came that my plan was succeeding. Jackman and Caprilis had left the house and were being followed by 2 flying squad men. At 8, my phone rang. Yes?
Inspector, Sergeant Meston here.
Huh?
There's a young woman on the phone wants to speak to someone came to see her in Limehouse last night. I think it's your call, sir.
Yes, it is, Meston. Put her through.
All right, miss.
Hello?
Are you the one?
Miss Glory?
Yes, it is you, isn't it?
Where are you?
I'm at Regent Street, too. They're following me.
What happened to you?
I ran away because I was afraid. They knew I saw what happened last night. Now they found me, and I'm afraid.
Stay where you are. We have men following them, and I'll be there as soon as I can.
I came down from the street. They know I'm here. I can't stay. What shall I do?
Now, hold on. Moffat, radio cars in vicinity of Regent Street Tube. We found the girl. She's in the station. Jackman and Caprilis followed her, as I thought they would.
Right, sir.
Inspector, what shall I do? Someone's shooting.
There'll be more help in a minute or two. Now, stay in the light. Stay near to people.
You don't understand. I stole it from them, and now they're after me. I'm afraid they'll catch me.
Inspector Black?
Yes?
Inspector Roselle, sir. We followed them down here. As you said, they led us to the girl. They opened fire, hit one of our men and the girl. We've trapped them somewhere in the tunnel.
Where is she?
On the seat over there. She doesn't have the narcotics with her. Afraid there's not much we can do for her, sir.
See that she gets to the hospital as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Moffat.
They're about 200 yards in, sir.
Oh?
We haven't gone in yet. They're armed.
So we... Men at the other station?
Yes, sir. Waiting for guns before they come this way.
Right, Constable. Keep the tunnel entrance clear.
I imagine they've stopped the train, sir.
I hope so. We're in an awkward position if they haven't.
Behind that pillar, sir.
Yes, yes. Jackman! Caprilis! We are armed. We want you for the murder of Clive Furness.
Jackman, sir.
Moffat.
Just my leg, sir. I'll be all right. Be careful, sir.
You were a filthy dog, Caprilis. I hope it hurt. I sent Moffat to the hospital in the ambulance that couldn't move the girl. Her spine had been broken. She was dying on a bench in the station, still conscious, and strangely not afraid anymore.
Hello?
Hello. Can you answer one or two questions for me now?
Yes.
Why did they kill Mr. Roach? Because they knew he was a policeman?
They weren't sure till they set the trap for him.
By pretending to kill Jackman?
Yes. When Mr. Roach went to the phone to call someone, they listened. Heard him talking to the police. It was Mr. Jackman killed him. I saw it.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
I was frightened. I stole, you know...
Narcotics?
Yes. I stole it from them. You'll find it in the mattress of my bed. They said they'd kill me if they found out I stole it. Now they can't.
All right. Thank you, Gloria. Don't talk anymore.
Mister, in my purse, there's a £1 note.
Yes?
If I die, will you send me some flowers? The sort you'd buy for a girl.
I bought her the flowers the next morning. But I couldn't go to her funeral because they buried my friend, Detective Sergeant Clive Furness, that afternoon. Pursuit. And the pursuit is ended.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick, and chewing Wrigley's Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Pursuit, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis and written by Gil Dowd and Anthony Ellis. Music was composed and conducted by Marlon Skiles. John Daner stars as Inspector Peter Black, with Raymond Lawrence as Sergeant Moffat. Also featured in tonight's cast were Peggy Weber, Larry Dobkin, Paul Frees, Jay Novello, Tom Holland, and William Johnstone. Pursuit. The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you've enjoyed tonight's story of Pursuit, and that you're enjoying Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day.
We invite you to join us next week at this same time when Pursuit will bring you another dramatic story of the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, relentlessly hunting down those whose disordered passions breed violence and murder. Another story of man hunting man when we bring you Pursuit.
Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment. Pursuit.
Pursuit. A criminal strikes and fades quickly back into the shadows of his own dark world. And then the man from Scotland Yard, the famous Inspector Peter Black, and the dangerous, relentless Pursuit. When man hunts man.
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Here's a taste treat you can enjoy indoors, outdoors, at work, or at play. The cool, long-lasting mint flavor refreshes you. The smooth, steady chewing helps keep you fresh and alert, adds enjoyment to whatever you're doing. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Healthful, refreshing, delicious.
Now, with John Dana starred as the famous Inspector Peter Black of Scotland Yard, Wrigley's Spearmint Gum brings you tonight's story, Pursuit in the North Sea.
The day was warm, as London days in July can be. Behind the bars, assorted animals gazed out at the humans, and in turn the assorted humans stared back at the animals. It was Sunday in Regent's Park, at the zoo. Muffet and I had gone there with 40 other plainclothes policemen and women. It was not, however, a Scotland Yard picnic. We were after more dangerous prey than leopards, tigers, or cobras.
Funny thing about monkeys, sir. Look at that one.
Yes, his face is rather familiar.
I hate to say it, sir, but I hope the commissioner never comes down here.
Moffat, you have no respect for your superiors.
Sorry, sir.
Come along.
There's another vendor, sir.
Yes, all right. Can't take any chances. I say there. Ice cream?
Sorry, sir, all that.
Just a moment. 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and you've sold out.
That's right. Just going back for some more.
You're pulling my leg. You must have one stick left.
It's truth, I haven't.
Will you open the cabinet, please?
Look here, who do you think you are ordering me about?
Scotland Yard, young fella, my lad. Do as you're told.
Scotland Yard? Oh, I'm off.
No, you don't. Come here.
Now then, let's see what you've got in there. Well.
Cool blimey. How'd that get in there? What is it?
That, my young friend, is a case of American-made nylon stockings. Brought into England in violation of the customs law and worth, I should imagine, about £500 in the black market.
Fancy that.
The question is, how did it get in your ice cream cart?
Well, I haven't the slightest.
You may remember when we get him to the yard, sir.
You can't arrest me.
We're not arresting you. We're taking you down for questioning. Manacles, Moffat?
Right, sir.
Oh, no. I don't want to go to prison. Me poor old mother. And me brother.
Yeah. Where did you get them?
A chap behind the reptile cage came up with a cart, bought all my ice cream, put this in mine, and he gave me a shilling.
And what were you to do with it?
Take it out to a chap by the gate. He's got a van.
Moffat, get some of the men. I want that van.
Right, sir.
We were too late. The van had gone. For at least the 10th time, the quarry had eluded the trap, and we were left with a 16-year-old boy and a case of contraband nylon stockings. It was a minute incident and a tremendous exercise which had become one of the greatest threats to Britain's economy, the age-old industry of smuggling. The British limitation on import made England a perfect target for these activities. At 9 o'clock on Monday morning, I was called into the office of the Home Secretary.
I'm disappointed, Black. I must say that I'm extremely disappointed. The Prime Minister takes a very serious view of the situation. Something's got to be done. Something simply must be done.
Well, I can't defend my position, sir, but I hope you understand what we're up against. Now, we know that there's one big gang. But there are also a dozen, perhaps 100 subsidiary gangs, possibly under the same leadership, possibly not, and we don't know who they are. French, Spanish, English, Americans. They use fast planes piloted by ex-combat pilots, both RAF and American Air Force. They use 45-knot Thornycroft torpedo boats to bring the goods in, candidly, sir. The Scotland Yard is not equipped to stop them.
What about yesterday?
At the zoo, sir? Oh, well, we were informed something was going to happen, a transfer of contraband, an extremely small part of the entire problem. Unfortunately, there, as everywhere, they were as well informed as were we. Somehow, they always know when we're going to make a raid.
What about the boy?
After getting a worthless description of the man who gave him the goods, we let him go. Oh, he's being followed, but I think it's a case of a boy earning a spare shilling.
In other words, Black, we've made no progress whatsoever.
Following our present pursuits, no. To stop them, if we can, we shall need the cooperation of every nation on the continent and in the Americas.
Then get it?
All right, sir. I shall. I have one request.
Well?
Carte blanche.
What do you mean?
You've assigned me the problem, sir. Therefore, none of my methods will be questioned.
Very well.
I shall want a squadron of Royal Air Force planes at my disposal, and a destroyer for patrol.
What? Planes? A destroyer? Impossible.
They're using Spitfires, P-38s, torpedo boats.
But it would cost us thousands, Black.
Smuggling costs us hundreds of millions of pounds a year.
Give me a ring this afternoon. I'll see what I can do.
That afternoon, I received my planes and my destroyer. They were assigned to immediate patrol duty both in the Channel and the Irish Sea. The ensuing week was devoted to arranging a conference in Amsterdam between police officials from 37 countries. For our plan to succeed, we needed the utmost in international cooperation. It was 2 days after the parley that our cooperative plans began to bear fruit. Yes? Yes, Sergeant. Oh, splendid. Put them through, will you? Huvudinspektör Blacktallen är här. Hvordan står det till, kapten Stensrud? Gå. Bara bra, tack. Ja? Aha, från Stavanger. Det är god, märkelig. Bravo, kapten. Det är en god begynnelse. Många tack, kapten Stensrud. Jo da. Ja, farväl. The first report of success had come from Stavanger, Norway. An unlicensed aircraft carrying a cargo of American cigarettes and whiskey had been apprehended. The crew, by their own admission, had been bound for England. But they would not, however, divulge the names of their employers. With this international cooperation during the month of June, a number of smuggling attempts were halted. In Portugal, West Germany, Spain, and even Italy. 3 aircraft were confiscated in Northern Ireland, but at best these were scattered victories. Our prisoners were little men. The big man was still at large. On July 16th, men of the Special Branch arrested a London postman who was brought to my office.
Hello, Black.
Phillips, nice to see you again.
I should like you to meet Mr. Edgar Thwaite, a loyal servant of the Crown. I'm sure that he wants to tell you about his novel method of delivering black market produce.
Sit down, Thwaite. What have you to say for yourself?
What do you expect me to say?
Oh. From whom do you receive the goods?
I don't know.
Come now, come.
I don't. I make my letter delivery same as always. And the packages that's got the stuff are special marked. I take 'em home and wait till I get a telephone call. Then I deliver the packages where I'm told.
You say that the packages are specially marked?
That's right. They're put in my bin before I get to the post office.
And you have no idea who puts them there?
No.
Who contacted you in the first place to do this job?
It wasn't me. It was my wife.
Your wife?
She was walking along the road. A man came up and asked her if she wanted some nylon stockings. She said yes. And he said that she could get as many as she wanted if I would work for him.
And this man knew that you were a postman?
I suppose so. Edie and I had a talk, and I decided to do it. The man called that night, and I said okay. That's how it started.
Frighteningly simple, isn't it, Black?
Are there others in the post office engaged in this activity?
I don't know. I don't care.
Wait outside, please. Well, it's a little more. You chaps better get to work on the post offices.
Like otterheads, Black. Feel sorry, though, for that little chap. A few more years and he'd have had his pension.
You must have known that when he took the chance. We're going to stop him and others like him.
That's why I like you, Black. You're so earnest when you're working.
Oh. Yes, I suppose I am, but, I've been a policeman for so long, it's rather a difficult habit to break. The investigation of the Post Office Department netted us 15 more arrests, and we began to feel that although each arrest in itself was minor, the results when totaled were surely making the distribution of contraband increasingly difficult. It was tedious and frustrating work, for these peddlers were little people, but we knew that by checking the distributors, we could eventually destroy the overseas source organizations. On July 19th at 5 o'clock, I received word from Calais that my associates with the French police had seen a torpedo boat putting to sea, but due to the heavy overcast had been unable to maintain contact. our destroyer, somewhere in mid-channel, was notified of this development.
The destroyer's equipped with radar, sir. They might get them.
We better wireless Captain Newton. Tell him I'm leaving immediately in an observation aircraft, and we'll keep in contact with him.
Very good, sir.
You hold on here, will you, Moffat? I shan't be long.
Right, sir.
Lovely old buses, these Hudsons. I used to fly them over the North Sea.
Thought they'd buried them all.
British economy, old bean. British economy.
There's not too much light left.
I know. But we shall be able to spot them. Boat like that'll leave quite a wake.
Where is that destroyer?
Want to break radio silence? Try to reach them?
No, I better not.
Hello?
Huh? You see something?
Down there. See?
Yes. It's hard to tell, though.
All serene. We'll have a look. Everything all right, old boy?
Yes, splendid, thanks. My ears, you know. It happens in lifts, too.
Oh. I'm taking her into the wind. Give us a better chance to have a long look at her.
Torpedo boat, all right. Thornycroft, MPT. Swing around again, will you?
Getting dark. If you're sure, better give our position to the destroyer.
Righto.
Transmitter takes a moment to warm up. She's an odd one, all right. No flag. Can't see. Back! Machine guns! Full engine! On fire! Cover your heads!
To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. The lively, full-bodied real mint flavor cools your mouth, moistens your throat, freshens your taste. And the chewing itself gives you a little lift, helps you keep going at your best. So for real chewing enjoyment that's refreshing and long-lasting, always keep Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. Healthful, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Gum will make every day more enjoyable.
Now, the second act of Pursuit in the North Sea.
Lieutenant Tunney was able to land the aircraft on the surface of the water, but the Hudson began to settle almost immediately after she struck.
We've only got a minute or two before she goes down. Are you all right, Black?
We wrestled out of the seats, and I felt a moment's panic when I thought I was entangled in the straps of the cumbersome parachute.
Here, I'll give you a hand with it. All right, now, the door. Come on.
The floor of the plane began to tilt as we crawled upward toward the door.
We'll have a go at it. Together now. Blasted thing's jammed. Try again.
Once more now. We smashed at it again and again.
It moved a bit. Once more now.
And then the incredible relief as it gave. and allowed us escape into the black and turbulent haven of the North Sea.
Watch the wing! Boat! Coming this way! What? Swim this way! Lieutenant! Lieutenant Honey!
Ahoy! Got a line here. Can you catch it?
Got it! Oh, wait! Wait, the other man!
Hold fast!
There's another man!
Can you get aboard with a line, or do you want a ladder?
No. I can manage.
Here, take my hand.
There's another man in there. The current must have carried him off.
Sorry. Half throttle. Keep your eyes open for that destroyer.
We've got to find him. Use a searchlight.
Can't do it. The destroyer.
Then give me your raft and let me go after him.
I'll get it ready, sir.
Sorry about this, but it's your own fault.
What, you'll leave him to drown?
Nothing personal, you understand? But we had to shoot you down. I'm hardly expendable, you know. Usually don't make this trip myself. Couldn't let you notify the destroyer of our position. Who are you? Army?
Scotland Yard.
Oh, you're the people who've been messing up my organization.
If Lieutenant Tunney dies, there'll be a murder charge against you.
I'm making money. I'll take that chance.
Raft's ready, sir.
Right. Cut the throttle. Get it over the side. Put a torch in it. The policeman wants to find his friend.
Okay.
You may need this. Contraband. It'll keep you warm until you're picked up. There you are, sir. Bottle of Johnny Walker's finest. This case was on its way to Africa. We think we can get more for it by returning it to England. It'll keep you warm. Hang on to it. Now you may look for your friend.
I did hang on to the bottle for 2 miserable hours, whilst with the torch I probed the darkness for a sign of Lieutenant Tunney. Then the destroyer picked me up and we continued the search, but it was fruitless. There was no sign of the torpedo boat, and it was dawn when we put back to Dover, and I returned, still hanging on to the bottle of Johnny Walker, to Scotland Yard. There I finally relinquished it to physical laboratory for fingerprints.
Bloody fine job, sir, hanging on to that bottle.
Oh? Prince?
Right you are, sir.
Who is it?
Englishman. Name is Spencer. Gerald Spencer. War Office files. Discharged 1945. Left England for the continent 1947. Officially, at least, has never returned.
Well, Spencer, huh?
Yes, sir. He's got a sister, Marion.
Oh, good. Where can she be reached?
Here, sir. At the yard.
What?
Policewoman. Attached to special branch.
Do you realize what that means? The information leaks.
Yes, sir. She was assigned to us last month on that raid in Regent's Park Zoo.
Get her here, Moffat.
Right, sir.
We learned that Miss Spencer was not on duty that day, so Moffat and I went to her house. She let us in. There were a pair of nylon stockings drying on a towel draped over the back of the chair.
You must forgive the appearance of my place, Inspector. It's my day off.
This is an official call, Miss Spencer. I spent an interesting few minutes with your brother last night.
Gerald?
Yes. It was in the Channel. When was the last time that you saw him?
Not since 1947.
Oh? You had no contact whatsoever with him since that time?
A few letters, that's all.
We've tried to maintain secrecy in our operations against smuggling, Miss Spencer. But at almost every turn, our movements had become known.
But why'd you come to me?
We thought that possibly you could tell us how your brother knew that a patrol plane was searching for him and consequently shot it down.
Well, I don't know.
Resulting in the death of the pilot, Lieutenant Tunney.
Because I'm his sister, you think that... Inspector, I've been with the Yard for 2 years, and you'll find that my record is very good.
I have no doubt of it.
If I'm wrong, Miss Spencer, I owe you a profound apology. But as a policewoman, you must realize that every possibility must be explored.
Well, I understand.
We wish to search your house.
I don't... Yes, of course. You shan't have to search, Inspector. There's a wireless in my cupboard over there.
Moffat?
Yes, sir.
Stay with it, Moffat.
Right, sir.
How long have you been in communication with him?
A year?
Did he complete his delivery last night?
Yes. The things were brought here. They're in my garage.
Why have you done this?
Why not? It was exciting. Seemed a good way to make a lot of money. Gerald got some pals together on the continent and started bringing stuff over.
Who are they? Where are they?
Why should I tell you?
We know your brother's the leader.
What if he is?
Simply that he's committed murder, and he'll hang for it.
I'm sorry. I'm sure he didn't mean to. He's a nice chap. An awfully nice chap.
After she was taken, the house was watched, and another arrest was made when a van and 2 men came to collect the contraband goods. Moffat and I sat by the wireless for 2 days, waiting. On the afternoon of the 22nd, the receiver sparked into life.
Here it is, sir.
All right, get it down carefully.
They want acknowledged, sir.
No, don't. Say there's trouble with the equipment and then break it off midway. See?
Yes, sir.
We'll hope they don't get wind up. Here, let me see that. En route with shipments from Rotterdam. Should arrive usual point at 2000 hours. 4 boats. Have vans ready.
8 o'clock, sir. Was past 4 now. And where would the usual point be?
Doesn't really matter, Moffat. I want our planes to patrol the Holland coast and west. We'll board the destroyer. I think, Moffat, we've got a chance to smash Spencer and his gang. Moffat and I stood on the bridge as the hysterical warnings from the destroyer's siren cleared our path from the harbor. Then the lean grey monster turned its head to the coast of Belgium and at 40 knots bit into the waters of the North Sea.
Captain Newton, radar spotted 2 craft traveling in a northwesterly direction, about 3,000 yards off the port quarter.
Yeah, very good. Sound patrol stations. Request 4.7 tourists to arm and make ready.
Very good, sir.
Helm, alter course to 022.
022, sir.
Now, Inspector.
I wonder about the other 2 boats, Captain. We better contact the patrol planes.
Quartermaster, notify wireless to request 3 aircraft, Operation Black. Have a look through the glass, Inspector. They're Thornycroft, MPTs.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I can't be sure. Huh. But the first boat could be the same one.
Yeah, they're changing course. We'll put a shot across the bow. Turret 2, warning salvo.
Aye, sir. I don't think you'll stop them with that.
I hope we can. Because in the run, they can do a few more knots than we can.
They're separating.
You want them stopped, Inspector?
You can't catch them?
No.
All right. Blow them out of the water.
Fire at will. Fire at will.
Six minutes later, we pulled the survivors from the water. There were 3 of them, including Gerald Spencer. The other 2 boats had capitulated after skirmishes with attacking aircraft. The operation has cost His Majesty's government thousands of pounds, but the return on the investment could be calculated in the millions. Pursuit. And the pursuit was ended.
Remember, friends, to make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to refreshing, delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. There's lots of cooling, real mint flavor in every stick, and chewing Wrigley's Spearmint helps keep you feeling fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, wherever you go, keep some healthful, refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. To make every day more enjoyable, treat yourself often to delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. Pursuit, brought to you by Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis and is written by Gil Dowd and Anthony Ellis. Music was composed and conducted by Marlon Skiles. John Daner stars as Inspector Peter Black, with Raymond Lawrence as Sergeant Moffat. Also featured in the cast were Irene Tedrow, Terry Kilburn, Eric Snowden, Dan Tobin, Byron Kane, and Tom Holland.
Pursuit.
The makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you've enjoyed tonight's story of Pursuit and that you're enjoying Wrigley's Spearmint Gum every day. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.